Hi folks, I'm Bob Piorun. This is my show, Musically Speaking, where I'm documenting the Auburn area music and musicians and the venues, and also Central New York, beyond Auburn. Today I have a wonderful guest, Mr. Chris Molloy, an old friend. Many years we've known each other. And we're going to talk about the harp today.
Yeah.
So Chris, the first thing I'd ask you, you were born in Auburn.
Right? Yep. To both my parents.
Yeah, that's good. And then after that, you did take lessons from me as a teenager. I remember that for a number of years. I remember you as a good student. You really were in the music. And then after that, you
moved to Florida, and then I joined the Navy, and then, which is where I discovered the harp.
Right. And I was going to ask you, how did you get into the harp? What influenced you to play the harp?
So I was in the Persian Gulf in the Navy, and I went to a hotel, and there was a girl playing the harp, and I'd never seen one in real life, in person. So I decided then, like, when I got out of the Navy, I'm going to try to play the harp. And when I got out of the Navy, I lived in Japan, moved back to Auburn, called Spino Music, local music store, and asked for a harp teacher. And Betsy Button, who I know you know, who they gave me the name of, and I took lessons for 6 weeks, and then she moved away to Florida, not because of me or the way I played, it just happened to be the way it worked out, and I've been playing since then. I liked it. The first day, she was a great teacher. The teacher that you have influences a lot how you play. So she was perfect. Right.
She was a very nice, very pretty girl, very nice, easygoing.
Yep.
Played very well. And since we're talking about harpists, we should make mention of Victoria. She was married, so I forgot her last name.
Victoria Kinney.
Kinney, that's right. I should know that. So we do have an extraordinary harpist, another one.
Really extraordinary harpist.
She went to the University of St. Petersburg, I guess, in Russia. So
not Florida, right? Russia.
Yeah, not Florida. That's right, not St. Petersburg, but Florida. So how old were you when you began?
I was like 30.
30.
So I was an adult.
So you called Spinos, and is this what was the first harp you came upon? Was it?
It wasn't this one. This came from France. I bought a relatively cheap instrument off of eBay. They call it a Pakistani harp. It's a little 26 string, and it was a great beginner harp. You know, like anything, you get kind of a crappy instrument, realistically, and then you move up. And it was a great foundation, and I've had this harp ever since.
I see. You just want to see if you're worth the investment.
Right, yeah.
I tell people, you begin lessons, how much do you want to invest to try something out? But so anyways, and I'd like to intersperse at this time, you were 30. I began the flute in my 20s. I encourage people all the time, no matter what age you are, don't worry about it. Just you want to start an instrument, give it a try with a teacher or online or whatever. But I would definitely, no matter what your age, don't be afraid to start an instrument. Just don't hold off on it. You're not going to get any younger, I guarantee you that.
People lack hobbies, and music is so personal, and it's like no one's there to judge you. This is an American Idol.
Right.
Get an instrument, any instrument, and try
Right.
it.
The big thing I notice about teaching people, they think of themselves as aspiring to be a professional. If you're going to play golf, you don't have to be Tiger Woods if you enjoy playing golf. You can just go out there. It doesn't matter what level. If you can play a couple of chords on a guitar, you're going to be happy. So anyways, you got in at 30 years old, and let's jump from there to what was your first gig after that?
So my first gig, actually, I used to work for the coroner's office, an investigator.
Yeah.
My first gig was Dr. Callett. He had died, and I was working for him as an investigator, and that was my first gig with this harp.
Really? You played for his funeral?
I played for his funeral, and that gig taught me so much about the funeral, like weddings, was delayed. So I only knew about 5 songs at that time.
You stretched them into 10.
And I stretched them in, but I also know, it's a matter of playing from the heart, and if you just play and set the mood, you don't have to have a zillion songs playing that you can fill the time, and that's what that really taught me. I had to fill 20 minutes after my
you got a big benefit though, because the harp is of course it's associated with heavenly music,
which is me.
Do one of those. Do one for
us.
Oh, I remember. Very good. So you got, I mean, you can do that for 10 minutes and amuse people because it's just got that sound. I mean, if I did that on the guitar, you know, you can do something like that. But
if you played a flamenco thing,
yeah,
with the same thing, just nothing but chords.
Right.
And they have glissando pieces. This is a lever harp, so these levers go up and down for sharps and flats.
Right.
A concert harp, which you usually see beautiful women, not me, playing. They do it with their feet, and there are whole pieces that are glissando where they're just chording with their feet, and it sounds
that's amazing.
Unbelievably beautiful.
Yeah. Now the harp, just by the way, is the standard harp tuned to up pitch? I mean, like guitar, is it tuned like you're tuned to C or
A440 in America?
Right. Right.
I tuned to E flat and then set my levers. So they're actually in the key of C. So right now, if you ran up it, it'd be like playing all the white keys on a piano.
Right, you got a C scale, right. The levers make the sharps and flats, just to show you. So without further ado from there, let's actually play a piece. You want to do that famous Pink Floyd piece, Another Brink on the Wall? Or?
And that's one of the things, like you get a band like Pink Floyd, which is a humongous group, and you only think of them as doing arena shows. It's like, oh, can I do it on the harp? Where it's, you get the vibe of the song, and there's no big floating pin.
And of course, I was kidding about the Another Brink in the Wall.
I'm an amazing speller, so
because I'm looking at his chart, and I thought I've never really heard Pink Floyd do that one, but
I live on the brink.
Okay, so here's a little harp doing some Pink Floyd. Heavenly. Do another glissando. Oh, I remember that. Very good. Okay, so now, of course, you go out and play professionally. Of course, you're for hire.
Yep.
So if people, what do you enjoy playing most? Weddings, cocktail parties? What?
So I like the things I don't like to play. I should probably start with that.
Yeah.
Like I hate recitals. And like kids that take lessons, they go on recitals. There's so much pressure there. It's dead silent. It's so much pressure. I like to play background music for like a wedding, a funeral, a cocktail hour, a dinner. Someone's going to get married. Somebody needs to apologize for something they screwed up. Hire a harpist. We set the situation very well. And I don't get bored with playing the same song. Like if I had 10 gigs in a row, are you going to play the Rose every single time? Maybe, because it sets the mood. I don't get bored playing the music. I want to play from my heart. and my instrument to someone. It's not my ego. It's like, what can I do to set the mood? Like,
Right.
that's what I like.
A lot of times, that I'm sure you get this people up say, "Well, we're just hiring you for background music." Well, hey, I'd rather do this than work in an office or do whatever. So,
And it's great. Like at a wedding, and you've played at weddings. If you go to a wedding early, it's so empty. You know, it's a cavern of empty sound, and having an instrument and real musicians, it changes the whole vibe of when they walk in there. Like, oh, this is going to be a loving thing, or even a funeral. People, can maybe cry or mourn nicer because of it's.
I think we discussed this, that Willard Chapel is a good example. I always encourage the brides to have the music beforehand, because you don't want to walk in, as you say, to a big cavernous place and hear silence. Just a few nice notes sets the whole mood. Yes, that's right. I wish I could do more glissandos. But anyways, the thing about it is, and we've said this, that often when the bride is a little late, which invariably happens about, let's say, maybe 90% of the time.
I don't know if I've been one that was on time. Even military funerals, there's always like 5 more minutes. Or, you always got to stretch it out, and like having a DJ or somebody, it's nice to have a real person that you can see from a distance.
We're more elastic in a way. Right. And the thing about it, I notice, again, using Willard Chapel as an example, many times I've got there and it turns into a concert. Now, these people may not be into the music you're playing. Maybe they're reggae fans or they're heavy metal fans. But you know what? You have this captured audience, and they're happy because, instead of just sitting there, they get and actually it's a pretty cool thing. It's kind of like a concert in its own light, to play those.
And as a performer, like just playing there, even if there's no one there, it's so nice to have the room to yourself.
Oh, yeah.
Like, wow, I am filling this beautiful, like Willard Chapel or St. Mary's.
Right.
I am filling this whole room with sound that is beautiful.
Yeah, I've often just played my flute and I go play a couple of notes and go.
So nice.
Yeah, especially I'll go to St. Mary's and play Ave Maria or something on my flute. It's pretty amazing. Yeah, I don't particularly, as a musician, I don't particularly like those cavernous sounds. But you're right, when you get there and you do that, if I were going to record or something, people often say Willard Chapel or St. Mary's or any church, oh, what great acoustics. I don't favor that.
I want a dead room if you're going to
I want a dead room too. And it's funny, people say that. I think they mean well. They mean it's what they envision is a great sound. But as a musician, you like a dead room.
I played at the Turning Stone, and even at the center in Auburn, there's a room where there's a dome at the center and at Turning Stone where if you snap your fingers, it just echoes. And I played underneath it once at both locations, and it just reverberates in a big loop. And it's like, you got to know the room and where you're playing.
The notes kind of intermingle with each other, and it doesn't have a clarity. No, I know exactly. As musicians, we face that all the time. As I say, you're into playing weddings and funerals or whatever, and you usually play solo. And as you said, you enjoy it because you have the flexibility to do what the heck ever you want, stretch it out. As a musician, I can speak for that. It is. I enjoy personally. I'm not a singer, but I accompany many singers. I got to admit that I like playing with other people only for bouncing off of each other. It's not that I would enjoy playing, So I mean, you on occasion you accompany singers.
It's pretty rare. Like my wife is a flautist, but we rarely play together. Because my timing is off. Because when I'm playing a song, I have an idea of why I play that song. Like I always have like, oh, why am I playing this song? And it's like, oh, because I have a memory of somebody else singing it. Like the Autumn Leaves. Like I always think of like how Anna Dessa did it. Like from a memory. So every time I play, I think of, her singing it, and like, oh, that's the way I want to play it. And it may not be the way that someone is used to playing it. Or
you have a lot more freedom. If you want to cut off a few beats or add a few bars or whatever.
Get rid of whole sections of a song.
Right. Speaking of that, we're going to play one now, and hopefully we'll hang together. We're going to do a great song called Ashokan Farewell. And this was the theme song, first captured my attention in Ken Burns, who I think is a genius in his genre. I love his series on jazz. By the way, I'd highly recommend that to anybody. Go on YouTube. There's a 10-part series on it. But Ken Burns is a documentarist. I'm not sure what the word would be. His first big thing was the Civil War. And when I heard this, I was just doing something in the house, and it just brought me into the show where this theme. And I thought it was something from the Civil War, but actually it was written in the 80s by a violinist from this area called Jay Unger, who appears often in Aurora. But this is a beautiful song. I've done this at weddings. You know, people may not, you know, I think it's something, you know, when they play this during the Civil War, when they're reading the names of the dead, they'd read, you know, from Cuba County, and they'd play this. But it's so beautiful that it makes a great wedding song. I'm sure you've done it at weddings.
I have, but I learned it because you played it at your workshops.
Oh, did it? Oh, yeah.
You know,
probably because it was such a beautiful
at the Schweinfurth
piece.
Museum, I was like, wow, that is a great melody. And a song, it doesn't matter what style it is. A great melody is a great melody, and this has a great melody.
You know, it's funny you said that, because I do a lot of, at the local restaurant, Osteria Salina, I played there. And when I do this, I will invariably have someone come up and say, oh my God, what was that? There's something enticing about the song. Well, we set a high standard that we have to achieve now. So here's a beautiful song called Ashokan Farewell. Beautiful. So let me ask you: do you you arrived at this harp because of its color or of its size?
It was electric. Boogie Woogie.
Well, yeah, electric. I do remember, actually, when she first moved here, Victoria brought her harp down here. Actually, I think she had a smaller. I think she has a couple.
She does, yeah.
A real harp, they must weigh 300 pounds, doesn't it?
No.
Well, they look heavy.
You know, 50 to 80 pounds.
Oh, are they really?
Yeah.
It looks like the base of them is
Some have a wider concert. A concert harp will have a big bass, but it's really a lot of air. It's like having a bigger guitar. It doesn't weigh that much. You know,
I see. Okay.
The basic structure is still the same.
Are they, so would you opt to have a bigger one? I mean, you got to have a big car for one thing.
So, and that is a huge issue. Like this, I like it. I normally play on a stand, standing up, but it has to fit in my car.
Right.
And I have to, you know, I have bags that have amps. Where a concert harp, you need to have a vehicle that you can shove it all the way in.
Right.
Most people have mattresses in the back.
Right. So how many strings? I mean, as compared to like piano, you know, like 88 keys.
So this has 36. Yeah. Concert harps have 41, 44.
Oh,
46.
okay. So not that many more.
But they have smaller ones that have 22.
Yeah, I've seen the little Irish harps and so on. There's all one thing you do, you get together with an association of harpists, and we'll mention in Syracuse that, of course, and I forgot her name, the woman with the symphony.
Oh, Ursula Kwasniak.
Kwasniak, yeah. She's been with them for 50 years or whatever.
Yeah.
But you get together with how many harps on occasion?
So Harper Galore, that was like 42 to 48, somewhere right around there. And I'm part of the American Harp Society, Central New York chapter. So there are harpists around that play and meet together. There's harpists that don't perform out professionally.
Right,
They just
as a
like
hobby,
to play.
as a hobby and so.
And we accept that, and it's a good thing.
When
to
you
do.
get all these 40-something harps in a room, they all tune up together. I
They
can
do.
imagine there's
And a lot of times, like,
chaos.
Because I'm the male, like, I do a lot of lifting. Like it's like having a lot of pasta jars. So it's like if it's on the stage, I'll lift them up on the stage just to be nice. But yeah, they bring them in on dollies, and it's hard to move them around.
Yeah, but I imagine the tuning to get everybody. Now, do you play things? Have you ever done anything with the 40 harps playing?
Oh yeah, everybody together. Yeah.
Okay, will they pick a generic thing like the Pachelbel canon or something, or they have charts?
There are people that write specifically for.
Oh, so there's some harmony and chords and everything.
And even in that, I'll like I read lead sheets, so it's so they'll give me the thing, and most people know how I play, and I'll just kind of do my thing on my own. Like I'll be listening and then throw in glissandos, because it's a known instrument, and it's
And some of these people probably can just play what they see. I want to ask you a question. I didn't think of this before. Can you play chords?
Yeah.
Okay,
so it's B major 7.
Right. So. Yeah, you're plucking the notes as a guitar would, a number of
I don't usually just pluck straight chords like that. I usually arpeggiate them just to fill the...
It gives it more sound, So right now, why don't you do a piece you wrote called...
Sunflowers by the Season,
Sunflowers by the Season.
Yep.
And here's Chris Molloy.
And this is a song that I frequently play at weddings because it fills the time. Like,
And
the bride's not here, 10 more minutes.
And you can stretch it as long as you want. So. Mr. Molloy, the bride is not here. Can you please go on? Yeah, that was beautiful. Very nice. Very nice. We should record that piece. That was beautiful. Personally, as a musician who's played basically most of my life here, I did when I, much to the goodness of my wife, when I first got married as a teenager, I went on the road, but I spent most of my life playing in Central New York, and I believe Auburn in particular has a good music scene. How would you like to comment on that? And
so I have a little bit different, different view of the music scene because I am a harpist, and it's kind of a gimmicky thing, like, oh, it's a blue electric harp, so people remember that. But it's also knowing where I should play, how I should play. Like I won't play it at a rock club because it's just the right place. But there are a lot of places to play. There's brew clubs, small venues, churches, funeral homes, of course. But it's also any professional musician should know the room they're playing. Don't play too loud. Right. Be professional when you're there. Show up on time. Deliver. Make sure that you're, working with. The whole reason that they're having you there is to drum up business. They're not there for your ego. They want you to be playing music, you to invite your friends so they can come down and, help fund the business. And the funding the business also funds you as a musician. So I never, there's only 3 ways I play: full price, no price, but never reduced price. I want to get paid for what I do. I spend a lot of time.
Or donate your services.
Or donate,
Yeah, for a good cause, yes.
But not every cause is a good cause. Just because someone's like, oh, we're a non-for-profit.
Yeah.
Great. I still have electric bills to pay, you know?
I know.
And it's not like I'm gouging anybody. You're getting a good service. You know, people that will volunteer to play for free, it really hurts other musicians.
Right.
You know, like
definitely.
No one should be charging in Auburn, you know, $10,000 unless you're a national act. But, you know, there's a price that is, you know, it shouldn't be the price from 1975, you know, which I'm sure you're aware of.
Well, I'd like to comment on that. I was looking at, over COVID, I went through all my old calendars, and I was making the same amount as I often get now in 1975, and if you adjusted for inflation, it would be like 1/6 of the amount. And unfortunately, I'm hemmed in by the price that other people, when people play for nothing or they play for $30, it's hard for me to tell someone 100 or 150 because they can get somebody else. So you're right. I wish people would adhere. I do belong to the union, and one thing, a good thing to be said about the union, they have a price list, and you have to stay within it, although people often don't do that either. But when I first came up as a musician, you had to stay in it. They would actually suspend you or whatever, and almost everybody belonged to the union. The union now has become somewhat obsolete. As a matter of fact, we had a union in Auburn, and it joined together with Syracuse.
Right, yeah.
So right now, but there are occasions where you have to be in the union. Just an interesting story, because we did a show about Frank Musadola. He was an avid old school union guy.
Right.
And I was in the union as a teenager, and because I disputed some of the things with the older musicians, I quit. And then Frank wanted me to do an album with him, and you had to be in the union. So I joined, and I've stayed with it ever since. But in the older days, the musicians around here adhered to a very strict price, and there was no playing for free. And they did do that. And I wish it was true today, but what are you going to do? You can't change. The thing I understand, a person studies an instrument, they get good at it, and let's say they have a good job as a teacher or whatever, and so they want to show their wares.
Right.
So they don't care if they get money, but they don't realize what they're doing to professional musicians who, I think you have a little more leeway. You have a very unique instrument.
Right.
So,
but also, like having a union musician, just like having a professional musician, you're going to get a certain thing.
Right, quality.
You're not going to get me like, oh, I made a mistake. You're going to see me grimacing in the middle of your funeral, or stopping because somebody dropped a plate. I play as a professional. I show up as a professional.
Right.
I have all my ducks in a row, which
Right.
You played for a zillion years. You know, like you're not going there. Like, oh, I forgot my guitar. Like never going to happen. You know, we show up early. We show up on time.
We bring extension cords. We bring extra cords with
Right. We make sure our recording, if a recording is set right, which is always a good idea.
I notice things. I've interviewed a lot of musicians. I've come across a lot of college kids studying music, and invariably I notice some things they're late or they don't bring their stuff with them. I tell people, you know, you can go to Eastman or you can go to Juilliard or whatever, but you know what? You better show up on time, be smiling, bring some extra cords, whatever you need, batteries. People, they should teach that in school, because it doesn't, you know, you could be the greatest musician in the world. You get to a place and you don't have an extension cord that's necessary to put your music out there. It doesn't matter how good you are. So people underestimate that, you know.
And I'll talk to a music student or someone who's wants to be in music, and is like, oh, I'm going to be a classical whatever instrument. And like, what kind of money do you think you're going to make? I mean, there's a reality. Like, I didn't go to music school, you know, but I gig a lot, and it's like, oh, you're going to be a harpist or a piano player. Like the money, just like being a photographer, weddings pay, you know, like. Like, oh, I'm just going to sell albums. Well, good luck. It's super hard.
I know.
It never really happens.
Even the best musicians in the world, the great jazz musicians in New York, they would play weddings and things.
Right. There's nothing that I will not, you know, nothing
I'm the same way. Yeah. People have asked me, well, Bob, how'd you make a living as a musician? I took all the gigs.
Right.
When people call me up for funerals, I don't care what it is, any kind of weddings, funerals, outdoors, indoors, because that's what I do. I'm a musician. I think you're the same way with your outlook on things. Well, before we leave today, is there anything else you'd like to add? Anything else that you would like before we leave with a final song?
Just, you know, have a hobby, you know, support local musicians, hire musicians,
Right.
you know, like DJs are fine, but there's something about having a real person there.
Right.
You know, it's like we've experienced Zoom this whole time. You know, like I would never have a wedding where I would have a Zoom musician,
Yeah,
which is like having a DJ.
Yeah.
Just hire a real musician. It's so good. It makes such a memory. I don't know how many people like, oh, you played at my sister's wedding, and it's like they have no idea what song, but they remember that there was a harpist there, and it really set the tone.
Well, there is one thing to be said. I've been in wedding bands, and I've discussed this on my show before. The hardest gig in the world is to have a wedding band, and I'll tell you why. You've got a 90-year-old woman right there and a 6-year-old kid there. They didn't come to see you, and you have to try to please them all. That's really hard. That's been the demise of the wedding band, and that's also been the rise of the DJ, because he literally can appeal to he can play In the Mood for her, and he could play the latest rap song for this person.
Yep.
So the problem with live music today is people are into so many variations of things, it's hard to please everybody. So one thing I encourage people to do is kind of a halfway thing. If they're planning a wedding or party, have live music at the beginning, then have a DJ.
Right.
Have some personality to it, and then after we finish doing the cocktail music or whatever, and then that's the best of both worlds.
Right.
You know.
I'll play a wedding ceremony and like, oh, we play the cocktail hour.
Yeah.
I will. There's no point because you're never going to hear it because everybody's
it's
drinking,
so
having
loud,
a good time.
yeah.
I
know.
will.
Yeah.
But just have me for.
Yeah, I know. I've done that. As a matter of fact, the last big gig I played was New Year's Day up to the Springside, and there were so many people, and it was so loud. It was just me and a classical guitar player. It was kind of hard to cut through. But every once in a while, people stop and say, "Oh, isn't that nice?" So anyways, let's leave everybody with a little jam we're going to do in the key of C for those who want to tap their foot along.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Yeah, well, it's nice to have you. I was just going to say that Mr. Chris Molloy, he's for hire, and we're going to leave with one more little piece for you, and it goes like this. I like to call this the Tom Molloy Bossa Nova for his father, who was quite a guy.
Not a musician.
Not a musician, right.